Hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Day In, Day Out podcast. This is episode number 35. I had the pleasure to have Lianne and Corey, or Corey and Lianne, on today, who are the new hosts for the Forever Break podcast, which is going to be dropping on the 26th of May, wherever good podcasts are downloaded and listened to. We had a lovely conversation. We talked about how they met, what they're planning to do with the podcast, and yes, what their future plans might be with our, how can I say, lockdown world. But yes, please sit back and enjoy this podcast. These are great guys, great individuals. I'm happy I had this conversation with them. And yeah, enjoy the show. Have a great day, guys. Peace. Haha. Yes. Hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors, wherever you are in the world. This is the Day In, Day Out podcast. This is episode 35. Today, I have to say, this is the first time this has happened to me in the world of podcasting. I have a freeway going on. Be clean, be clean. Yes, I've got Corey and Lianne. I do not remember their last names because I'm just trying to get that all in. But
okay, we're trying to become like Madonna over here.
It keeps the fans at bay, you know.
Yeah, they're trying to one-lame it. I hear you. I hear you. These guys. You know what? These guys have a website called Forever Break. Where they do travel, lifestyle, tech, inspiration. And later this month, they will be having a podcast, which is going to drop a number of episodes. But rather than me rather than me just talking about it, why don't I ask them, how you guys doing?
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much. And I'll let Corey explain it because
well, let's dig into that fantastic a little bit, because Lianne 20 minutes ago wasn't quite so fantastic, but I'm proud of her. She's shaped up and she got it together, and she's here with us.
Lianne was running around the house trying to find a hairbrush.
Okay, yes, you're trying to find a hairbrush. Why were you just trying to find a hairbrush? Have you just woken up about 20 minutes ago, or it's just been
exactly. Exactly. Transparency here. We weren't sure if we were on the podcast or not, so we weren't sure if it was going ahead.
But we're here and we're happy to be here, and so we're part of the Forever Break family, and we're the hosts of the Forever Break podcast. It's coming out May 26th, and it's going to be 13 or 14 episodes, all on all things mindfulness and self-improvement, as that's what we've been thinking about while we're sitting here in quarantine. So we were like, let's try and talk to some awesome people that know more about it than us and learn something.
All right. And basically with Forever Break, how long have you been doing this? Is it just recently or longer?
You want to jump into that?
Yeah. Well, so Josh, our producer, he is from he had another travel blog. And then he's been working on this new one, Forever Break, for a number of years now. And we actually started our own podcast, and we had him as an interview. And then after the interview, we kind of ended up collaborating together. And then, we joined in. So when was that? That was in December?
Pretty much since last November. The idea was formed. We were going to do a season on just traveling, and we were going to do it on Southeast Asian countries because we had just been traveling over there over the winter. And so instead of going that route, we decided to, with all this quarantine and not waving the beaches of Bali in front of people who, when they can't go there, we were like, well, let's audible and try and do something a little bit different. So that kind of led us to the mindfulness idea.
Great. So this is the thing. So you got together with Josh, you've been traveling for through the winter. So how did you guys get this all kicked off? Because look, when anyone has the partnership of Lennon and McCartney, the partnership of Han and Chewbacca, I'm just now I'm now looking at this video, I'm actually getting to see who might be Chewbacca and who might be Han.
I'll take it. I like it.
She fits that role perfectly.
Of which one? That's the question. Which one? It's how did you guys get together? How did this all kick off? Come on.
Well, you go, because this was
it was a wild. I was on a ski weekend or snowboard weekend with some friends in Whistler, and Leanne's really been traveling for about 6 years now. She's been doing holiday working visas in Australia and Canada. And I went up to Whistler with some friends to snowboard and had an amazing day of powder riding and came into her bar and we were all vibing. She was feeling good that day. So the conversation just started flowing and then hung out a little bit that week and just kind of kept in touch. And then we both kind of realized like, shit, we want to travel. Let's get out there.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that sweet? I like it.
Yeah. It was a really good thing. And then the idea for me was being a little bit older. I was like, if I'm going to go travel for 7-8 months, I'm going to need some purpose. I'm going to need something to do. So I've been listening to podcasts for a long time and I was like, let's just do a podcast, document our trip, put out some useful tips for people. And then we can, hopefully at the very minimum, even if nobody ever listens to it, we have a cool documentation of something that we did at this stage in our lives. And we've just kind of really started to love podcasting and talking to people and the whole idea of it. We just really have loved it.
Yeah.
Excellent. So how many countries have you guys traveled together so far?
Ooh.
You got this one.
So Canada, US, Indonesia, Nepal, Sri Lanka, India, Vietnam, Thailand, Singapore. 9.
Wow. And which was your sort of favorite sort of country you've been to? And
I can do right away. Sri Lanka.
And Nepal was pretty amazing as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And why was like Sri Lanka so good for yourself?
I don't know. I think it's just the vibe. I think it's like we were in India for a couple months leading up to that, and India is a little overwhelming at times. And then you get to Sri Lanka, and it's just kind of India without the overwhelmingness. It's still a little bit overwhelming, but it's not nearly as bad, and still just got amazing food, unbelievable wildlife, like some world-class surfing, and it's just you can just literally everything that you want. You can go hike a mountain in the morning and then go catch amazing sunset surf at night. It really is.
And
just
you'll see an elephant on
and
the
wild
side of the road.
elephants on the side of the road. It's just this untapped place that's so cool. So get there.
Excellent. You had me at food right there. I most probably with the hiking as well. But why Nepal? Was it Nepal? I'm hoping.
Nepal. Yeah, well, one word, the Himalayas,
Everest Base Camp.
but the people as well were just really warm, and we were lucky enough to be with a local, and he has this really good charity, and he was helping kids and giving them jobs and an education. And it was just a really moving experience for us because we got to go visit the kids in the mountains as well, and it was really nice.
Leanne's an expert on accents, so I'm going to challenge her right now to place where your accent is specifically in England.
You're from London.
Yes, I am.
No.
Where
Are you from
London?
North London?
Yes, I am from North London.
North London? Yeah, there we go.
Got it, man.
Yeah. Okay. So, Nepal. Yeah. So, where do you both hail from originally? Because let's just say I detect a slight different accent from you both. Just say. Yeah.
Well, I want to play this for you. Where do you think we're from?
Now.
Let's turn that game around. I can say some words if you like. Bus, butter, grass.
I can too. Butter, grass.
Grass.
Wisconsin.
Well, that might be a big giveaway right there. No. How about saying about?
About.
It's like you tricky because it sounds like you might have a Canadian, like a little bit of Canadian swang in that voice. No, like this is the thing. Yeah.
Go on. What do you think?
She's tough.
I've got a hard one.
Like this is the thing. Like your voice is like. If I met you at the beginning of your travels, it'll be easier. But I think along the way, you've had your voice slightly corrupted.
Completely, I have my accent.
Really good call.
Ooh, no, not Southwest.
It's a hard one, huh?
Oh,
do you want me to just give you the answer?
That's the hint.
No, like wow. So. it's a case of your voice doesn't sound like
he doesn't want to get it wrong, which I like.
Your voice doesn't sound like it should come from that far north, but it should be.
Oh, interesting. But remember, I went to Australia for 2 years, Canada for 2 years, and then the loser
most
around the
people
world
guess
for
she's
2 years.
Australian, but that's
he
not
thought
true.
I was Australian.
No. Like I have
only Americans think that.
No, I have a friend who is Australian, and she sounds like she's from Surrey. And oh,
really?
I mercilessly, that's why I put that joke out there in the wild, and the universe went, yes, you're right. And everyone from that point onwards went, yes. Are you from Surrey? I was like, yes.
That's so funny.
Smile. Oh,
that's so funny.
like this is the thing. I would say you are, if anything, Midlands, but north, like the very sort of top of the Midlands. But I could be wrong. More than likely, Lianne.
I'm from Lancashire. I'm from about an hour and a half north of Liverpool.
There you go. Right. No. Liverpool.
That's my thing. So it's called Southport.
Right. So let me see. Like, do you love the game of football?
I do. I used to play.
Okay. Oh.
But I am a Chelsea fan.
Oh, you rotter. You get out of there.
No.
Look. Like, you're an hour away.
I've got reasons.
Okay,
my dad is from the South, and he made me. I used to want to support Liverpool, and he made me.
Oh, he made you.
Thankfully.
Like,
Thankfully, he made me.
Like, did he waterboard you? Did he? No.
No. Do you know what he did do? I asked for a Liverpool kit for Christmas, and he gave me a Chelsea kit with my name on instead.
Brutal.
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean. Wow. No one's
bad.
You know what I mean? Like, what do I expect from someone who starts off a Zoom call with, yes, I was dressed up as a man last night. So you know what I mean?
It's true.
It was just beard envy, so she just drew a beard on herself just so that she could be part of it. That was it.
You know what? As I said before, how you get down on the Zoom call is how you get down. I have no judgments here.
The quarantine crazies.
Oh yeah, I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So with this and like doing the whole podcast thing, was it a case of you were just doing this or as an independent bit of travel and then things just blossomed from there, or did you have a plan? Or say.
I think it was a rough plan. The idea was, like we said, just to do something to give us some purpose while we were traveling and then see where it might go. But the idea of getting, partnering with somebody who is like Josh, who's very, for people like us, we need somebody who's more organized. So it's smart for us to like find somebody to like connect the two halves, which we feel like we've really done well. And now it's getting to the point where it's like, okay, we can possibly start thinking about this more long term. Obviously, given the times that we're in, it's pretty unique. So the uncertainty, I think, is the only thing that's certain.
Yes.
And we've got nothing but time to try and make the best episodes that we can do right now. Because the best thing you can do is have a little project. So we feel really grateful that we have that opportunity. So it's really nice.
Yeah, I think with regards to the times right now, I was talking to some friends over Zoom. I was dressed as a man. I didn't decide to go as a lady or
different from today,
I just you know what I mean. Like, if it was the last day of the month, maybe, but but that's another story. But yeah, with regards to the time people are getting right now, like if they're not suffering from the good old COVID, but like I think a lot of people have been taken out of the rat race, so they've got a lot more time to sort of reflect on what they want to do and possibly where they might go next. I can see there's going to be a lot of people like maybe taking up and following their dreams after the lockdowns go away and the world returns to something, whatever the world returns to, but more normal.
The new normal.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But yes, I'm liking the fact that
what is your podcast journey? I'm always curious to hear this with people.
With regards to my podcast journey, I was like, it's all sort of stemmed from, I told a friend called Steve Ball, like, you should do a podcast. It's like, do this, do that. I'm like, if it's social media, I go, yeah, do this. Why don't you do that? And it was a case of, I sort of sat back and went, yeah, if someone goes, why are you not doing it? It's like going, well, maybe I should put up or shut up. So I started on this, but also I found it's a great avenue. As time goes on, you sort of talk to less and less people as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's also another thing which is helping me like talk to people I would never normally talk to and keeping me open on that side of things. So I see it as something which will help me grow potentially in the future and just help keep me open to like other people out there, which is trickier as time goes by, as I said before. So,
I like that idea though. That's nice.
I think that's a good as reason as any. I mean, just you gotta like to talk to people if you're gonna podcast.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It's like, look, put it this way. Yeah, you meet all kinds. I'm beginning to meet all kinds of people over the podcasting. Look, you sir with a fine like facial beard right there. That's like, there's my podcast beard. Does like nodding, does like yes.
He's been growing it for weeks, you know, pruning it, getting it ready.
Oh yeah, no, you got to trim. You got to. If you don't,
I don't have anything to do that with. That's the problem. Is I'm just kind of stranded here, and I'm afraid to take scissors to myself. I don't trust her, so we're kind of just at a standstill.
I don't blame you for not trusting her.
Thank you.
Let's just say, yeah, she's been trying to find a comb, and yes, she's like, you must really like, yeah, baby, maybe you should cut.
No, I'm good.
No.
And in fairness, we're still in northern Wisconsin where we've been doing our quarantine for the last couple of months, and it is still cold. It got down below 0 Celsius last night. It's just still brutal up here. We just don't know what the hell's going on.
And we still have our tropical backpacks from when we got back from our trip.
Yeah, we haven't been able to go back to my place in Denver and get our normal stuff. So it's been a unique situation for sure.
I see. So when Wisconsin, are you like hiding out with family, friends there, or?
Yep. Yeah. So my dad is in his early 70s, so we're kind of up here staying with him, helping him through this. And then I actually have a 93-year-old grandmother too, who is uniquely just still vibrant. And to the point where we had to like hijack her car so that she won't go around town.
Just waving to people. Hey, how you doing? Come on.
That's literally what she wants to do.
It's like, no.
Come for coffee. That's what she wants.
Look, just come in the house. It's the government. Who knows? Come on. No, grandma.
Mother's Day is a big thing. We have that on Sunday over here, and she's like, everyone's coming to the house, and we're like, not happening. You gotta have us over in shifts.
She's like, no, I've called everyone. I've made it happen. Come on.
Yeah. Right.
We caught her doing that for Easter. She invited everybody separately, hoping that we wouldn't talk to each other and we'd all just show up. She's got a smart.
It's like, yeah. You don't make it to my age without having like a little bit of experience.
Well, that's what she says. She's like, how do you think I got to 93, guys? I'm not afraid of a bit of disease.
It's like, I've seen it all. You're like, okay, come on, okay. Brilliant. Yeah. So, apart from the podcast and like basically, what sort of, do you have other projects in the sort of works at this present time? Or is it a case of you're just doing the podcast and then that's going to be it? Or is there something else on the horizon?
It's kind of, I mean, it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's all eggs in one basket, but it's been our mindset of let's give this idea, let's chase this 100% through 2020 and kind of budgeting with that kind of mentality, seeing if we can make something of it, and then see where everything lands by the end of the year, and then figure out what we can do in terms of if that's going to be something that's going to help supplement some income, or if we've got to go back into somewhat real world situation. So yeah, for the most part, it's that right now. And we've got stuff that we've got to think about in terms of Lianne's visa. We've got to try and figure out what we're going to do in about 3 weeks here.
We all know how strict the US government are on their visa situation.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Like at this present time with the visa situation, I think,
And what's
it's
the
even more
continuity
tough.
going to be like? Yeah, can we, if she has to go back to the UK in June and I've got to stay here, that's one of the reasons that we were like, let's push and just bang out this season and get it out by the end of May, just in case we have to indefinitely separate, and then possibly do what we're doing here and start doing episodes via Zoom, which obviously isn't as ideal, but it's still possible.
Yeah, no, how can I say? A friend of mine, his lady is currently in Australia. Like she's like, basically she was living in the UK because of visa issues. She had to go back. And like the whole thing is this was like right at the start where you kind of were hearing the rumbles of this, that, but no one knew this was coming. And like basically now she's over in Australia, waiting for the visas to go through to come back, but you know how it is. It's everything's on a bit of a go slow, and I'm not too sure what Australia's policy as well as New Zealand is. I think they might be like no one comes in, the drawbridge is up.
I think they're there too. I was reading something yesterday or the day before, though, that it looks like New Zealand and Australia are about to slowly start opening things back up because they've got it pretty well contained. It sounds like better than either of our countries anyway.
Yeah. Because like this is the thing with regards to, like, as we were talking about earlier about what the new normal might be. Like you guys within the realms of travel and stuff like this. I was like, look, I'm like, I only put this out there just because it's like, what will you guys do if 2020 is just pretty much restricted travel?
What we had to do with our first seasons, because we'd started recording our first season based on travel, and then we kind of had to, sink or swim. Do you want to carry on with this? Do you want to release the travel even though no one can travel? And then we were just thinking more and more about quarantine, and I guess this whole time we've spent a lot of time thinking like, well, how do we want to grow and improve ourselves and use this time wisely, And then we got thinking about just mindfulness, and that's how this first season actually ended up coming out, because neither of us are into the meditation or, practice mindfulness, or, to be honest, I wasn't quite sure what it actually meant. And then, but this is what we wanted to go from as for this season as like an audience member, because you hear these things all the time and, they're really interesting topics, but you don't know how healthy this is for you or how it can benefit you in your life. So that's kind of where the first season kind of went from. And I guess season 2, when it comes to that time, we'll see what's going on.
We're floating different ideas. I mean, like we said, I don't think it's smart to wave travel experiences in front of people when they can't actually do them. So we're floating ideas for season 2, like sustainable living, and just trying to come up with some different ideas of things that we're interested in and things that might help other people just kind of get some thoughts spinning. That's really what we're trying to do, is just provoke some thoughts, because that's what we do. We're like she said, we try to come from the idea that we're hearing this stuff for the first time, and we want to try and learn as we go. And just, why not? Life's all about trying to learn throughout all of it. You shouldn't stop.
Yeah, no, I think with mindfulness, and if you can sort of talk about how with mental health and stuff like this, because now I've got to say there are people out there who go, I'm not like, I'm comfortable being by myself. I don't need to have people around me and stuff like this, but they don't realize how much contact they might actually have with people on a day-to-day basis. And when with the lockdown, like thankfully I'm here with my lady during the lockdown, and like if I was single, the lockdown would be a totally different bag of fish, and like that would be challenging on other fronts. I think with that, people need that sort of social contact, even if it's like once a week or like once every 2 weeks, but they still need it. And
exactly.
Without it, it's tough.
Yeah, well, we're pack animals naturally, right? Humans, we're supposed to be in a pack, so it just makes sense that.
And I think that's a very good thing to look at it. Like, it's obviously a very serious virus that's killing a lot of people, but at some point the isolation and all of that becomes a problem as well. And it's a weird thing that people are having to balance, that make decisions that we're not making. So thank God for that.
Yeah,
I would hate that
no,
pressure.
I hear you. No, yeah, I'm thinking with your season 2, you should do something with minimalism. Minimalism.
Minimalism.
Yes.
Minimalism.
Minimalism. Yes,
Yeah,
that's what we're
yes,
thinking as
absolutely.
well.
That's English word in the
That
English
one.
dictionary. Yeah, do something along those lines because, yep, with a traveling lifestyle, like, yeah, you must already
Mhm.
own a laptop, iPad, and a camera, and away you go.
Yeah.
As well as, yeah. So, yeah, maybe you should do it along those lines and talk about like the best sort of strategies along that.
It's a great suggestion. We had it on the list for the mindfulness season, and it didn't come to fruition, but it's certainly there for season 2. And I think that I love the idea. Purging is one of the most just therapeutic things I can do. I just love getting rid of stuff.
I struggle.
Yep. So, with that in mind, what would be the 3 essential pieces you would take with you? You have to have day in, day out.
Oof.
You want to go?
You go first, and then I'll go.
Guitar,
Okay.
my dog,
Right.
and I would say that I think it's a lock. I think it's a lock that you're there. You know, I'm getting a little older, so I need my inserts for my shoes.
my guitar, my dog. Sorry, cat. Sorry, my lady. One moment. My inserts, my shoes.
Feet hurt. I need to be comfortable.
She's not gonna be around me if I don't have those inserts.
You go on, baby. Leave me be. I'll catch up with you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess one of hers, and I think it's probably a bag full of bikinis.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a bikini obsession, and I like tropical places.
Fair
I like
enough.
to tan. I like to be outside. So that, you know, I hate to admit this because it's true, but my computer, because I am a movie nerd, and not often when you're in a country where people do not speak English, do you get the opportunity to watch a movie. And I just love to just chill out. When we travel, we don't like to go out every night. You know, sometimes you just want to just relax.
Yeah.
If you're going for a year, you know, so maybe once a week you want to sit and watch a movie, and I really value that. I really value my Netflix account. And what would the last one be? I guess
we got to put a caveat on her Netflix account. She's been jumping around. She's got a few different accounts out there.
Yeah, my Netflix account. Yeah.
Which one? Got some connections.
You're getting mad, like going, why is all of this damn stuff coming up in my suggestions?
Yeah.
I have no interest in this particular subject. Why?
My Netflix feed is all British everything.
I'm converting him.
Oh, I see. Yes, don't worry. Like,
I don't know what my third thing would be. I want to say a camera because I love photography.
Yeah.
But I also wish my answers were a bit more in depth. I'm saying technology, and bikinis.
That's what I said.
Technology, bikinis, like home comforts, my guitar, like my dog, and my inserts. So, yeah, hey, what can I say? So, what is your dog's name?
Charlotte.
She's right here if you want to see her.
What type of dog is Charlotte?
Oh man, she's a little angel. She's a spaniel mix, but she's only about 19 pounds.
She loves to travel.
And she's really just the most portable little thing. But she's also, we didn't bring her on this last trip, and it was really, really hard.
Oh, look
because she's been around me since 2011, and Lianne's taken to her like nobody else. And so we just said, like, when we come back, we got to figure out how to travel with her. So that's like our big thing now.
It looks like you're going to be doing a lot of travel in the States then.
Exactly.
Oh, she's a cutie. Loving it.
Yeah,
gone.
Gone. But she's gone now.
Oh, brilliant. So, like, seeing as you're being slightly corrupted by the Brit over there next to you, so what TV show is your favorite British TV show at this present time?
We just wrapped up the last most recent season of Peaky Blinders, and I was blown away.
Yeah. Peaky Blinders.
So good. And then I've been a huge fan of the American Office, and she keeps talking about the British Office, so I've gotten into that too. And there's only a handful of episodes, but they're so good. It's such good stuff. It really is.
Ricky Gervais.
Yeah. No, my lady, she loves Peaky Blinders. Haven't watched the last season yet, but I mean, like, how can I say? I've been dragged into the Peaky Blinders journey with much sort of resistance, but because they're on so many times, like I'm sitting in the living room, like, okay, who's this person?
No, you
Okay,
yeah.
And then like this is like, yeah, I can't admit it because then I'm in. I'm like going, okay, can't admit I'm into this show.
Into that group, okay.
Oh, you're putting it on. Oh yeah, you know what? I really wanted to watch something else, but yeah, I'm in. So I'm just waiting.
Does your partner listen to the podcast? Because I think the cat is out of the bag. I think.
You know what? She doesn't. So I can say all the mean things in the world.
Oh, okay, there you go.
It gives me my chance to vent.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. Just like going, and you wouldn't believe what she did then.
You know what
you both like go back to Josh. He actually spoke to us for 3 hours just pitching about his lady. I like, you know what I mean? If I was there, I may have given him a hug. But it's like, you know, but yeah.
Hey, one thing I have learned is that the British are big, just need a good moan every now and again. So this is your opportunity just to have a good moan.
No, you know what? Like in all my years, I have never noticed that about people from Britain at all. No.
Haven't you?
No.
Oh, maybe it's just me.
We are a peace-loving, like unmoaning, uncomplaining, unqueuing race.
Yeah, because
like,
when it rains outside, we never moan about the weather.
Yeah, look, the weather, brilliant all the time. Look, fantastic. And you know what? There isn't a certain little singing competition, which comes around every year, which we seem to come lasting, even though we've had bands like, Oasis, the Beatles,
Yeah, right.
like Stone Roses, like, you know what I mean? No. We come last in it. You know why? Because we want the others to have a good old time. No, we don't bitch about that at all. No.
Yeah, sorry, I was way off base there.
I do say though, because everyone over here in the States is really big into therapy. And I don't think in the UK therapy is quite as common, or at least none of my friends back home in the UK go see therapists, but a lot of my friends in North America do.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, it kind of hit me, the penny dropped. I was like, this is why I feel like I don't really need therapy, because I just moan to everyone anyway. And it's all gone by the end of the day that I'm like, oh, I'm in a great mood. I'm good.
It's all about the release. It's a lot cheaper too.
Well, yes, it is. But you got to watch out. Like you're over in the States, they might be like, why do you keep complaining about everything? Just go and see this person now. Leave me out of this. Let me go. Leah, hey, got to go. See ya.
No, they love accents too much. They hear an accent, it's the other way, you know?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Especially where we are, they're like, ooh, we haven't seen one of these before.
Well, let's put it this way. Be a black man in New York City with a British accent.
Oh my god!
There was this one time I was in Grand Central Station. Like I was walked in, I could hear British accents to the left, right, and like I was like, okay, yeah, right. I was like, just flew in, put my bag down. Right. Excuse me, miss. Could you tell me your selection of bourbons? She was like, this lady just was like, he was like going, hello. I've seen many a Brit, but not in your flavor.
Yeah.
Why are you over here? I was like, yes, my brother from another mother. Yeah, I hand it up and like, yes, all I've got to say is my bourbon and Coke, like she just free poured. It was like talking away. It was like, I had to take this sort of sneaky glance at us, like going, God damn, that's a lot of bourbon she's going in there. Like, 2 glass, like I was like, a little bit of Coke. she was like, I had 2 glasses and a long haul flight, and yeah, taking a train up to Poughkeepsie. Yeah, all I got to say is I had 4 cheers to all myself, because people were like, you son of a bitch. Stuff all over the place. Yeah.
So I haven't been to London. What are some other similarities and differences between New York and London? I'm curious about that.
Like, this is the thing. When it comes to sort of like, it's equal, I would say, in the mass of people. The difference is the pace of life in New York and London. New York is faster and much more hectic. It has a slower pace, slightly slower, because you're like, okay, in London, because if you met someone who came outside of either London or New York, they'll go, why are you walking so fast? But in comparison, if you went from London to New York, you are not walking that fast at all. So it's just much more like hectic. So yeah, I would say if you were going to stay anywhere for a prolonged amount of time, it comes down to what you want. If you want that sort of nightlife craziness, I think New York still got that. London, many of the sort of clubs and stuff like this, when I was growing up, they are long since gone. And it's more sort of, how can I say, more of a bar scene over here. Well, it was more of a bar scene over here. Hopefully it'll be coming back. So it is like, both have their qualities, but if you want like sort of more open space and stuff like this, London has that in droves. It's got some of the best parks I would say you'll find in any city. Yeah.
Love that. Yeah. One of the things that I realized when I was in New York is I'm a fast walker, and they were lapping me. It is unbelievable.
Yes. Yeah, you cannot dilly-dally. If you do, more for you.
No.
And I think New York as well, it's got the grid, because obviously London, and you have to think of all of our towns and cities back home are so much older that they were all done for a horse and carriage, and there wasn't quite so many buildings there. And New York is very like gridded and is more easy to walk, I think, but London's got easier subways, I would say. Like our underground system's so good in London.
Yeah.
I hope you get there.
Yeah, but you got to be careful if you're in New York and you wander like far enough south. It goes from grids to streets, and that is very confusing. So
across that Brooklyn Bridge,
you're just like da, 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 da. Oh, this grid system's perfect. Oh, get around, no problem. And then it's like, bam, you're in the village, and you're like,
where am I?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it's mental. So yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
So with regards to when things go back to normal, where would be 3 places you would love to go?
You go.
Where would be 3 places? I really want to go to, I would like to go to, I can never pronounce it, Uzbekistan?
Uzbekistan.
That
Uzbekistan,
one?
okay, yeah.
I'd like to go there, yeah.
Thank you.
That one, I can't say it, but I want to go there. Where else? The French Polynesia. I'd like to go to one of those, I'm not fussy which one, just one of those nice French Polynesian islands. And where else? Where haven't I been? Oh, I want to go to Japan.
Okay. Winter though. She wants to go experience some of that snow up there. I would say for me, it's probably somewhere in like the African safari, doing something like that. Our plan is to try and get up to where her mom is right now in the northern part of Scotland, which seems really interesting to me.
Okay.
And I haven't spent any time in the UK, so I'm due. And then I would say probably, somewhere in the Middle East, just because it's so strange. I think like a Turkey, or just kind of getting into that direction. Even Israel would be kind of nice. We'll see.
Yeah. What I'd simply say to you is this: if you want to do the Middle East, go through the whole of the Middle East, then go to Israel. Don't go. Don't do it the other way around, because you will not get into anywhere. Not get into anywhere at all. But yeah,
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I like the Japan and African safari. Like, go to Victoria Falls. Like, that's where I want to go somewhere. Like, it's because like I've watched you'll know this, Lianne. Comic Relief did was it Comic Relief or was it Sport Relief? I can't remember exactly, but they did the whole journey up to Victoria Falls. And then
Oh, I remember that.
yeah, then they did this one bit where they came through like these sort of bushes, and then like you saw the view. It's like you're going, oh my God. I
Yeah.
can only equate it to most probably either seeing New York from the Empire State Building, or most probably just seeing the Grand Canyon for the first time, just like,
Yeah.
but
Ah,
yeah, that looked fantastic. Like Japan, yeah, for skiing, like
yeah.
from like back in the day, like this is the thing, I never thought of Japan as a ski place until the Winter
Yeah.
Olympics back. God, I can't even remember what year that was, but yeah. Then
Yeah,
it was
so
like,
true.
it was like, oh, Japan, you got snow, you do this, you do that. It looks fantastic. Great.
Yeah, I didn't realize, and some of my friends from that I met in Canada, they're from Australia, and then on their way back to Australia, they stopped off in Japan for a winter and went and did a season there.
Yeah.
And oh my God, his videos, and it was when we were all getting quarantined here, and Japan had kind of gotten over they'd kind of closed things down a little bit, I think, and then they'd kind of reopen them again. But he was just quarantined on like on a ski mountain with no tourists allowed to go there, but all of the workers were still allowed to ski. And it was just like perfect snow. It was the perfect month. And I was just like, oh, I'm so jealous.
Not everyone quarantines the same. We know that for sure.
No. Yeah, because thank God, just a whole ski mountain to share between only a couple of hundred people.
Yeah,
It's like,
imagine.
oh yeah, God damn. Because I remember going to Teen, and they do this Val d'Isere run, and like you're going across, like snowboarding away, and like, oh God, like this was my first time doing snowboarding. It's also my last time like doing this Val d'Isere run. I was like, everyone, like this was day 8. So basically I went from being absolutely shocking to like going almost killed myself to like doing that sort of drop, which you like going, oh, please God, take me now. And then, being competent enough to do this run. There was a kid called Jamie, 8-10 years old. And yeah, you know how it is with kids.
Just looping around you.
Yeah, just
jumping over you.
Like took to it like a duck to water. And like, you know what? There was a moment or two where I looked at that kid. I went, I hate you. I hate you.
Yeah.
I hate you.
Like, and then
It happens to me all the time too out there. It's just crazy how good some of these people are, and just they have their sense of balance and just what they can do. What they can do in the air. I've never understood that. As soon as I go off of a jump, I am just like, I'm like gonna land on my back. I've never been able to figure it out. My axis is off or something.
Yeah, like,
hey, I am curious to ask you, do you know anything about the holiday working visas that Lianne has been doing? I'm kind of polling people on this because I don't think it's something that's very well known in the States.
Like this is the thing. When I worked over in America, that was, I think, was it A1 visa? Like I was doing Camp America type thing. So basically, specialized to that particular thing. I'm not, as for other holiday visas which are out there, I'm not the person to speak to with regards to that. But the word I keep getting sort of snippets of information here, there, and everywhere in the news. And like, I have no idea how accurate it is, but like right now it seems like visas in America are being pretty much suspended for the time being.
Can't do it here.
Yeah.
So it's a case of I think even if you went back came back to UK to go back again to the States.
Oh no, I wouldn't get in.
I don't know. Basically, not unless they sort of really loosen up the lockdown. You might stand a better chance getting in the UK, doing the whole tourist thing for 3 months, doing it that way. But yeah,
no, I mean, it's just a crapshoot right now. But yeah, I mean, what the thing that she's been doing is just really interesting with these 2 years. She's going to Australia for 2 years, going to and I think it's 3 now.
Yeah, for Australia now.
Just something that if you're, if the times are normal, like that's just something that it wasn't on my radar in my 20s, and that's all she's been doing. You've through
heard
her
of
20s.
These, right? People going off, because it's like a thing in England. People go off to Australia for a couple of years. You kind of heard of it, haven't you?
Yeah, no, I've heard of it. Like basically, a number of people taking advantage, or like the cutoff point in Australia was 30, may have changed, but
yeah, it might be
you could do a work visa for about it was 2 years, go do what you needed to do, and then like if you found another visa, you could carry on, or you would bounce to another country, and do the sort of quote unquote international traveler lifestyle. So right now, so that was like back then, and when things were normal. Now I'm not too sure. I don't think Australia, as I said earlier, don't think Australia or New Zealand are taking anyone in. So I don't know what the sort of visa situation is with New Zealand.
One of her good friends from Canada is in a unique situation. She had just started her visa over there, and so she's obviously there's not much work.
Ooh,
and some people are just found themselves in some really unique situations because of all this. It's pretty crazy when you like dig into how limited travel is, and people can't even get home or anything. Our producer's stuck in Malaysia.
I was like very surprised when Josh I sent a message and he literally replied back to me like that. I was like, what the heck? I was like,
organization.
I was like, okay, yeah. I was like, hey. He's like, yeah, I'm in Malaysia. I was like, okay. But yeah, I was like, you're up with the lark, and because I sent that message. Because I get up at early times, I think 6 o'clock in the morning. So it was like, bing. I was like, okay, I'm not the only one alert. But so how long? Is he trying to travel around himself, or is he just? That's where he's like got his main base.
So he's been pretty much traveling for the last 8 years nonstop. And then he just kind of has created a couple of websites and just doing the whole digital nomad thing. But right now his plan was to be over in Southeast Asia for the winter, I think, and then come over and then spend the summer going through some places in Europe. But obviously that's not, and he can't leave Malaysia. And I think his visa's already extended, but he's been talking to the government trying to figure it out. But just insanely unique stuff that's the thing that with Lianne is if she were to just overstay, I doubt the U.S. government would be kind to her in the future and be like, oh, it was extreme times. We get it. But we're like, she keeps going back to the whole thing of like, don't I have some humanitarian rights? Like, I don't want to go to an airport. I don't want to get on a plane. I don't want to go back to the UK and possibly bring this to my mom and her boyfriend. Like, don't I have some rights to try and protect myself and my family? But not in America.
You know what? I would say maybe not in the UK as well. With the way the situation is right now, that sort of that bandwidth of like compassion, which should be there for all human beings and everything like this. It's just like, no. I think it's a case of with the virus and the oncoming economic storm, which is gonna hit everyone's shores eventually. That's where it's coming into play, because your friend was it New Zealand, like got a visa in New Zealand?
Australia,
excuse me. With that, it's going to be a case of there might be a situation where jobs are going to be scarce, and then it might be like, okay, rather than having you come in, you're here right now, we'll give you something, but local people, they're going to need it more. So it might be a case of that. So it is kind of a weird situation, I think, many persons going to find themselves in, because there was all of the people with the cruise ships all pulling up. If you see it, like if you see a news report, you've got them all, like all these cruise ships like parked up at the Philippines, because most workers come from the Philippines, and they've got a whole bunch of like British people who are working on the cruise ships still on there, not being able to get out or not being able to fly. And so it's like, so they're stuck in this weird realm of limbo. So
poor people.
I would say with yourself, Lianne, like I don't know when your visa's like gonna be up, but like hop, skip, and a jump back to the UK. And like, you know what I mean, stay with a family member and then take it from there, because quite frankly, US immigration don't give a damn. And
No.
they'll be like, going, yeah, oh, we remember you. I was like, going, yeah, but it was chaos. And no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been trying to explain that to Corey's dad. He was like, I'm sure they'll be there. I was like, no, they really, really weren't. Like, that's nice that you have faith in the government there, but
no. Yeah. So it's going to be tricky. Tricky.
But we are a lot more fortunate than a lot of people, so we're really grateful for our situation.
I think that that's the big thing is, you know, there's just so many people that are going through. Some friends of mine who live in on the Florida Panhandle, there was just somebody was just burning some trash in their yard. It sounds as redneck as it is. And the fire, it was really dry down there. It was a high wind day. The fire got completely out of control and they ended up taking out like 4 or 5 different neighborhoods.
Oh no.
And like, fortunately, nobody that I personally know, to my knowledge, has lost a house, but you know, dozens and dozens of people lost their homes just because of this one guy's thing. So with this pandemic and everything, now you're going to have these compounding problems layered on top of it, because life is going to somehow continue to go on in some way, shape, or form. And we just realized just how lucky we are, because we're desolate. I mean, we're in a county with like 300 people in it. There's there's nothing out there.
No, you know what, that like, if I had to go, like, just looking past you guys, that looks like it's absolutely flat out there. It's like, it's outstanding running places to be, because like where I am in North London, I step out, if I go left or right, I hit a hill in no time at all. That is like pain. Yes.
No pain, no gain.
Well, yeah, you're right. But
doesn't make you like it anymore.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, come to UK. Come running with me. We'll soon see. Yeah. How you doing, Chewbacca? How you doing?
Yeah. No, there's limited hills up here. It's pretty bad.
We're in con country here.
I am curious too, what with your podcast journey, what is something that you've learned that you didn't think about when you first started along the way?
Oh, like, this is the thing. The actual conversation side of doing a podcast, it's simple. It's great fun. It's quite such joy what comes from it. Everything like that. But get people to talk to is one of the hardest things to do. You think it would be easy, but it's not. You find, like, what I found, it's just like, that's where the work comes. I would say that's where the 90% lies, just getting that organization matching up, everything like that. The whole logistics behind it, that's where the sort of learning really comes. The conversation, all the work, there, it's been done beforehand. When you get into the conversation, it just, like, for myself, it flows a little bit more naturally. I'm by all means, like, I've only been doing this properly since maybe January, February this year, like, because I started the channel, started the podcast channel. I was like, okay, then you know how it is. You're like, I've started a podcast. Okay, when are you going to do an episode? Wait, I'm almost there. Okay, I've done a couple of episodes with me. Yeah. Okay, are you going to interview a person? That sounds quite intimidating, but yes.
Yeah,
I've interviewed one person, and then it's like, okay, start getting the momentum building, trying to keep that momentum going, and and you're in it. And as each conversation I have, I find that I get a little bit better. It feels like it gets a little bit better. And as each time goes on, maybe it's just a case of my growing confidence or whatnot. But yeah, it feels much more natural, much more.
Yeah, that's good.
Feels better. But yeah, I would say you got to put in the reps. If you don't, forget.
Yeah. It's true, because I think people get intimidated as well to be interviewed. because we're still awaiting. There's one of Corey's friends who's a doctor that we're waiting to interview, and she's a bit shy on the microphone or on the camera. And I went through the same thing as well, where I got really nervous when we first started out, and I was like, oh, I feel really awkward. Like,
hates her voice.
I hate my voice.
Yes, I'm
So,
as well. Yes,
and he makes me listen to it, and I'm like, don't make me listen back. Like, I'll just talk, and then
that's how you get better.
But now it feels so much more comfortable and so much more natural. But yeah, I think it's beneficial to other people and for yourself to listen, isn't it? It's entertaining and growing. And
finding that flow, finding the rhythm within the conversation and all of that kind of stuff, I think is just a really important thing. And it was something that I didn't really think about, because the idea behind it was like, oh, we could just be anywhere and just set up a microphone and start recording and call that a podcast. But you slowly realize like it needs a little bit more structure than that in order for it to like work successfully.
Because with your first podcast, was it just both of you talking, or was it you brought in other people as well?
Both. So we would do guests, and then we would also we kind of did a series of things called what we called On the Road, where it would just be like a quick episode about a place that we'd travel to, where we just give some really practical tips and advice, share some experiences. And then, if we could get some people to interview and talk to about some more specific things. And we had some just amazing just luck with landing some people. This guy that we met who was from Nepal, who had been sold into slavery when he was like 10 years old, and then escaped out of Kathmandu when he was 12, and now has built up this entire
school for this local area.
School, this hostel, this trekking company. And he
takes the kids and stops the girls from getting child marriage down in India, and he takes them on, educates them, and then gives them a job in the trekking company, pays them minimum wage in Australia instead of the minimum wage in Nepal. It's really good stuff. It was really nice stuff. So we've had a couple of people who have really moved us.
And just some things that we were looking for. The idea came because while we were planning for this trip, I was reading some travel blogs and stuff, and I was like, there's not really anybody doing a travel podcast that is travel blog like, where I can just go and find out about a destination to an extent that I felt like was entertaining enough for me anyway. And so then I said, well, let's try and do this. And I don't know if it is. We've enjoyed it. And I think that's the core thing that matters. You gotta, hopefully the audience will come, but in the end, you just try and do it for yourself first, I think.
No, like this is the thing. The audience will come. It's just a case of keeping that consistency and bringing it every day. Because what you tend to find, people start things and like, it splutters along and then they stop things. And it comes down to, they might be lucky and it might take a month. It might take 6 months, but a year, 2 years. And like, depending where you want to take it, most of the time, 5, 10. And then all of a sudden it's like, you often go, oh, remember these people, they're overnight success. It's like going, but they've done like 10 years of like hard graft work, putting it in, like doing this, everything like this. A million and one mistakes made along the way, but they've put their craft together over all of that time. So if you don't have the consistency or commitment to it, that's where it's going to be difficult for, I think, anyone trying to make this. But with regards to the podcast, will you be putting that onto YouTube as well, or is it just a case of just like vocals?
We haven't decided to do that yet. We have we've done some Leanne went to school for video editing and things like that. So she's got a pretty good toolkit for that. So we utilized that on this last trip, where we were doing a bunch of filming with drone and then a handheld camera with a gimbal and everything. So we put together some travel videos ourselves, but we're recording season 1 in a walk-in closet to damper the sound. And so I don't think it would be very appealing YouTube footage at this point. But if it works out the way that the plan has it, we'll eventually have a place with like kind of what it looks like you have a little bit of a home studio where we can maybe throw some stuff up like that.
No worries. Yes, a spare bedroom utilized quite effectively.
Exactly.
I love your look around. He's like a home studio.
No. This is the thing. It's like, if this background's been on many a times, like people are going, what is that over there? Yeah.
But no, we might do it on the second season when we have a studio set up. I think it's a good idea.
I don't think we like filming. She likes doing the editing. So I think if we could find a way to do it fun and creatively, we would do it. And I just don't know exactly what that looked like. And obviously, you know how much work it is just to produce an episode of a podcast. Now you add in another element of video, and it's a whole nother thing.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. During these lockdown times, what would you recommend? Like, which book would you recommend, or TV show or film would you recommend?
I would recommend a book from one of the guests that we interviewed for season 1 of the Forever Break podcast. It's the what's it called? It's the epigenetics book. It didn't start with you.
It didn't start with you, yeah.
By Mark Wolin. So he was one of our experts that we interviewed, and it's all about epigenetics and about how your ancestors' family trauma, or say if you have an ancestor that was in World War II, you can inherit like a trauma thing from them. So if you get anxiety from things, and that can be related to your ancestors as opposed to your problem. And that just basically delves into the world of epigenetics and really like makes it simple for those of us who aren't scientists.
Yeah, he literally wrote the book on it. And this was one of those interviews that we had with someone where we were just jaws on the floor for 45 minutes as we're talking to him, because we were just like, some of the stories that he was telling us about patients that he had, we were just, wow. So we immediately after that interview got and ordered that book. So we've started it, and it's just talking really about, it's a very new thing. And then for me, I think, I'm a huge Grateful Dead head. And Lianne got us tickets to go see the Dead and Company at Jazz Fest. We were supposed to go last weekend. We were supposed to be in New Orleans for that, and obviously that didn't happen. So I would tell somebody, go listen to some good music, go find some music and just do something. Just sit with headphones on, go for a run, go for a walk, and put on some music, because the news is exhausting. It's all over everyone's social media. It's everything. Find the escape and go and do it, because it's just crazy how it's just like, I don't understand how they can just sit there and talk about the same thing for months on end. Wow. And it's up to us. We have the choice to not do it and not partake in it if we want to. And for me, music is a good place to go to for that.
Yep. No, trust me. Like, well, Lianne should know the ongoing saga of Brexit. The 20-volume set and
We're
continuing.
on chapter 15 already. We haven't started yet.
Yeah. Basically, you think the media can drone on about one subject? Yeah, trust me. We're taking a break from Brexit just so we can insert COVID, and then we'll be back on
to
Brexit.
Yeah.
But But yeah, no, I appreciate that, because that book, I'm very intrigued. With regards to that, does he say it's genetic, or is it sort of learned, like sort of minor learned traits?
So it's an experience from the ancestor, and then that is then put into the DNA.
Okay.
But then you can actually end it. So you can end the cycle because you can pass this down, because it can come from either your mum or your dad.
Right.
And it can be passed down through multiple generations as well. So, and sometimes it skips generations, but I don't know, it's just fascinating.
Yeah, but essentially what he was saying is that it looks like it can change the genetic code and be hereditarily passed through to your kids and everything like that. And then through active therapy or just, moaning, you can stop it, which is pretty incredible.
I'm not sure about the moaning for this one.
Yeah, I think you guys maybe need to hug it out after this. Hey, baby. Hey, I know. Sorry.
Hey, it was weird at first, but now I've realized just let the vent. Just the vent is open. Just let it all come out. I really don't
moan that much, everybody. I'm like a normal amount. He's just super positive, which is great. But
to a fault.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with being super positive. Like
not at all.
It's like, hey.
Be the change you want to see,
Quoting Gandhi there. I was here. Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
There you go. Brilliant. Would you be able to tell people how they'll be able to find you on the old social medias and such and such?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Forever Break itself is just search Forever Break in Facebook or on Instagram, Twitter, all of those places. And if you want to find anything that we've done, you can check out our travel videos if you go to YouTube and just search for Small Worlds Podcast. And then Lianne, my Instagram handle is Corey, Coreofe. And what's yours?
Mine is Lani, Larni 93.
Yeah.
Although there's not much going on there at the moment.
No. There's not much. There's not much to photograph in northern Wisconsin.
Yeah, look, put it this way, like, yes, all I'm doing at this present time is podcasts. Like going out early in the morning, doing long runs. Which I can't post up or anything like that, just in case.
Loads of cute dog pictures, though. Just unbelievable amounts of cute dog photos.
It's the dog. Brilliant. What I'll do, I'll put the links in the description or the show notes, or however you want to get this information down below, so no one will be able to miss you. Thank
you very much.
I've got to say, you have been great fun. Like, you know, I mean, I'm gonna go with if I had to sum you up as a great partnership, let's go with the superhero route. I'm gonna call you Hawkeye and Natasha. Avengers.
Okay, Natasha. Okay. Oh, you know what's really embarrassing? I don't know them. I'm gonna have to have a look.
Oh no!
You said that's Avengers.
Avengers. Well, you know what? Yeah, if you've got Disney Plus or anything like that in your house,
there we go. I'll watch the new
All I've got to simply say is you can begin the saga, the very long saga of like the Infinity Wars and stuff. Hey.
There we go. That gives us something to do now that the podcast is all finished.
We got to have a new project, so we appreciate that.
No problem. I'm happy to help. Hey.
Yes. And thank you for having us.
Oh, no, I thank you, because you know what? You're my first as a freeway podcast conversation, as they say. Always remember you first. Yes. And much fun it was. I'm loving it. Yes, much success with your forthcoming podcast. 26th of May, is it?
That's
dropping.
Yep. All episodes dropping there. And I'd like to say thank you to him. I'd like to say thank you to her. Yes, Corey, Lianne, thank you very much. Be awesome, be great, be fantastic, be all the positive bees you want to be. As I would say to you, the people at home, thank you very much for enjoying the show. Feel free to get in contact with us, subscribe, and be fantastic, be fantastic, be fantastic. I was trying to think of other words to say, but fantastic got
I like it. The
power
of three.
Great word.
Perfect. Have a great day, people.
Okay.
Be awesome.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Hey.